on one side of the plate. And then on the other side of the plate is their homemade gelato, that is just this caramel gelato that is just to die for on its own. And it has like this kind of praline nut mixture, cashew nut mixture going on with it, and caramel sauce. And it's just really, really, really good. Very, very delicious. And I think I just said it was caramel ice cream. It is vanilla ice cream with caramel sauce.
Amazing. I've been there before. It's so unassuming too. I mean, it's in the middle of like a strip plaza right there, in the same one as Mellow Mushroom and some others. But
Yep.
wow, it just blows you away each and every time. That is, it's so small too. I thought they were expanding. Are they expanding?
They were going to expand. They had closed for a large part of this year, with the intent on expanding. And I don't know really what happened there, but they ended up deciding to keep their original footprint. So they are still in the small footprint and not growing at this point. But I kind of wish they would. I would always say if you want to go there, you might want to call and make a reservation because the restaurant is so small. But it is worth waiting for sure.
Yes, outstanding indeed. I love this, and I love the segment and what to order when you go eat out. It sounds fantastic. Jennifer, anything else before we let you go?
I'll give you a little bit of food news that came out this week. Bayou Bar and Grill in Overton Square has new owners. That is probably the longest running restaurant in, I didn't confirm that, but that from my memory, in Overton Square. It's been open for since the 90s, over 30 years, almost 40 years, actually. I think it was 37. And longtime owners, Bill and Carla Baker, who have run it for 30 years, have sold it, and it has been bought by Crosby Keltner, who is a restaurateur that is from Memphis, went to Nashville and moved back, and two longtime managers, Amara Jameson and Tyler Hamilton. So I think it's going to be a great mixture of people to move this restaurant that is so loved by Memphians into its next chapter. So I'm excited about that. Few closings to announce. New Wing Order, that great food truck that has won many, many awards, has closed. Hopefully it will come back in another format somehow. The owner, Jesse McDonald, said he has plans to bring back that brand somehow. So keep your fingers crossed on that one.
Okay, Jennifer Chandler, always giving us an update in the scoop and what to eat and what to order when we eat out. Jennifer, thank you so much. Always appreciate our conversations. Thank you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
You got
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Of course, today, feeling comfortable across the Mid-South, and it will stay comfortable throughout the course of the day, though a little warmer through the afternoon hours than we were yesterday. Afternoon highs will top out generally in the middle and upper 80s. One or two spots may make a run for 90 degrees, but some changes, my friends, are not far off from moving into the area. One of those changes, look to the south and east of us. Of course, we've got the drier air in place for now. That bulb of moisture coming up through portions of Alabama this morning, well, that's going to be shifting westward in our direction as we head through today and into your Friday. That is the beginnings of the changes that will bring us a muggier day tomorrow and then eventually a warmer couple of days into the upcoming weekend. But behind that little bulb of moisture, which, yes, it will spike the humidity levels, at least briefly heading into your Friday, we'll see some drier air moving back in here. It will not be to the same extent necessarily as what we've seen the last couple of days, but hey, it's not terrible, okay? We'll take whatever we can get, but the temperatures will start to go back up as we head through the weekend and into the start of next week. Look at the Muggy meter again. There's your spike for Friday, and it comes back down as we head through Saturday, Sunday. Monday it comes back up and it stays pretty steady. But remember, last week when we were talking about the FedEx St. Jude Championship, that Muggy meter was basically pegged out all the way through the weekend until we finally got the cold front to sweep through the area. So this is a bargain in of itself with the lower humidity across the Mid-South. That will also lend itself to very slim opportunities for rain between now all the way through the early portions of next week. We may catch a chance for a few showers to come back into the fold as we get towards the middle portion of the week as the frontal boundary approaches the area, but we need the rainfall. And I say that knowing that we have some farmers that are out and about harvesting corn right now, and they need the dry weather to be able to dry things out and, of course, get out and just cut the corn in the first place. That's going to be the case here the next couple of days. So if you're doing that, I know we got a couple of folks over in Arkansas doing that right now. I think your weather is going to be fantastic to be able to do that the next couple of days, but I will go ahead and say that we need some rainfall as a general rule. This is the percent of rainfall over the past year, and look, we're all running below average for the past year of rainfall, and that's only been perpetuated from a drought that happened back in the fall of 2023, and likely here in the next couple of weeks, if we continue a dry stretch here, we're probably going to go into another drought situation fairly quickly. We are quickly growing a deficit across the Mid-South because of the lack of rainfall that we have seen as of late. Now, that also will in turn play into temperatures, and something we'll be keeping an eye on as we head through the next couple of days and weeks. If we stay dry, it's likely to be one of those situations where our temperatures may have a few runaway days, if you will. So let's talk about the differences between wet ground and dry ground, how that plays into your temperatures. Well, remember, the sun's rays come down and beam down onto the surface of the earth. The ground then radiates that energy back into the atmosphere, and then in turn heats the air. So when you have a wetter ground situation, so after you've had a lot of rainfall, it tends to not warm up. The air mass doesn't tend to warm up very quickly because of the fact that you're doing an evaporation process. Evaporation is a cooling process. Well, that cooling process is not going to be there when you have dry ground. It warms up much more efficiently from the ground's perspective because, again, you're radiating down to the ground and then it's coming right back up in the atmosphere. It's not taking energy to do an evaporation process. It's just doing it much quicker. So that means for our actual air temperatures, they will start to go up very quickly because, again, we are going to be dealing with dry air and dry ground as we head through the coming days. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have a couple of days here next week if we have quote-unquote runaway days where, yeah, we may forecast 96, but the actual air temperatures may end up like 97 or 98 degrees. And even the days that we have 98 degrees, just so you know, we have not hit 100 so far this year for actual air temperature here in the city of Memphis. It would not be surprising to me if we stay with dry air, dry ground for a couple of days here next week, if we don't make a run towards those upper 90s, close to 100 degrees. And just so you know, we've seen 100-degree days as late as September 21st. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to see that late in the year, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that we could do that here as we head towards the end of this month and heading into the beginning of September, as the average high, 91, and you notice the highs well above that heading through the coming days. Again, we won't add too much insult to injury with the humidity level. So that's one positive thing, but the actual air temperatures themselves are going to be plenty hot to contend with. As we head through next week, we might be able to catch a chance for a few showers with a cold front that could swing through the area sometime middle and latter portion of next week. That'll bring the numbers down to the upper 80s to low 90s again by the middle portion of next weekend and the week after such. But as the general rule here, the heat's going to be the big story to round out the month of August, so be prepared. Hopefully you have enjoyed the low humidity, feeling more like fall across the area because it's going to turn around very quickly here in the next 24 hours.
Well, the time now is 10:21. Going to switch gears here now and talk about the importance of hair health. Did you know hair health is a crucial aspect of overall wellness? And few understand this better than Penny James, a renowned trichologist and hairstylist with over 30 years of experience. Penny James is joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk to help break down everything we need to know. Good morning, Penny. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, Taylor, thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, anytime. I've actually been looking forward to this conversation because it's an important conversation to have, not just for women, but men as well, right?
Yes, it is. Yes.
So tell me the importance today. I know this month is National Hair Loss Awareness Month. What can we gain? What type of knowledge is there out there for us to learn more about this month?
Yeah, August is National Hair Loss Awareness Month, absolutely. And I think what people need to be aware of is that it is very prevalent. And what I think some of the first signs that people notice when they're losing their hair and maybe aren't really thinking about it too much is more hairs in the brush. And then they're thinking, well, wait a minute, now more hairs in the drain and I've been washing my hair. And now we can start seeing that, our parting's got a little bit wider. If you're losing excessive amounts of hair, now you can start seeing your scalp. And now it starts affecting, your confidence because no matter how we wear our hair, it's part of our identity. And when that starts getting called into question, it really starts eroding our self-confidence. And the thing is, I just want people to know you're not alone with hair loss. There are millions of American men and women who experience hair loss.
Absolutely. And I know one of those myths, we have thousands who join us each and every morning on the digital desk, and the ages range. But with hair loss, it's not something that there's a certain age to when you can experience it, right?
No, I mean, hair loss can come on for an array of reasons at any age.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And that's just one of the several different myths. Tell us a little bit about some of the common myths associated with hair loss and hair care.
Sure. So one of the myths that I hear a lot is, frequent shampooing makes your hair fall out. And really, when you're suffering from hair loss, that's just not accurate news. Think about, how you've got to keep your hair and scalp clean, because when you're in a clean, healthy environment, the hair will do much better. That's just one myth. Another myth is genetics. So people think, well, you know what, my dad's bald, my mum's, maybe has lost some hair. Oh, I'm experiencing the same thing. Well, yes, of course, genetics can play a role in hair loss. But here are some other key things to think about. So does well-being, our diet, and stress are huge culprits for hair loss, and they all have to be addressed to help promote new hair growth.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well said. So let me ask you this. What are some things that people can do right now to just promote healthy hair and just your overall well-being? Because like we mentioned earlier, they kind of go hand in hand.
They really do go hand in hand. And that's a really great question. We are what we eat. So I always tell my Trichology clients, to incorporate food groups that are rich in A, E, C, E, and D, which are, we do excellent vitamins. And now we want to think minerals, which is like zinc and iron. And these are all in the Viviscal hair growth supplement. And that is a really powerful supplementation that has been not only clinically proven, has scientifically been proven with a powerful ingredient in it, and that's the Amino-Ma collagen complex. That is perfect for people with really fine, fragile hair to help regrow your hair in as little as 3 months with only 2 pills a day. So that's a powerful ingredient to be able to take with your food groups that are really beneficial to help really grow the hair. But we mustn't forget stress, because stress is one of the biggest culprits for hair loss. So the way we suppress stress is to come in and sort of think about upping your exercise routine, incorporating yoga or meditation, and really reducing our stress levels. Now that's internally, let's think externally that's going to be really helpful for our hair. Viviscal has a lovely, gentle shampoo and conditioner. It's a thickening shampoo, a strengthening conditioner, and we've also got the strengthening serum, which is a lightweight serum and won't weigh your hair down. This trio is packed with powerful ingredients. like keratin and biotin and seaweed extract, which has been proven to actually, for especially people with really fine, fragile hair, to stop breakage, and which is going to now leave your hair feeling thicker, fuller, shiny, and really gorgeous.
Oh, I love that. I love to know that there are things out there that can help for those who are experiencing hair loss. It's not just one of those situations where you just kind of have to accept it. There are things out there for you to prevent hair loss. Was there anything else that you wanted to add this morning? I know this is a conversation that you could probably talk about all day long because there's just so much information to it. But was there anything else that you wanted to add that I did not ask you?
There really is. There's so much. And, I want to reach out to your viewers today just to say, don't feel alone. Viviscal has an incredible online community. Why don't you go online, ask some questions, type in what's going on with you, and we've got an array of products to choose from. Let's find out what's going on with your hair loss, and let's find something that's going to help you.
All right, you heard it first from Penny James. Thanks so much for joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We look forward to chatting with you again.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, thanks for sticking with us right here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. It's 10:01, 70 degrees out there, a really gorgeous start to your Thursday. If you're just joining us, I'm Sydney Gray in for Andrew Douglas today. We've been talking about a bunch of different things from, we've talked about Alzheimer's awareness and just different events going on across the city of Memphis. And now we're going to talk about some fun stuff. Football season is around the corner, and I've got a very special guest here with me. I'm excited that Reese Roberts is joining me. Reese, I hope you can hear me okay. How you doing? Can you hear me, Reese? You might be muted. I'm not able to hear you. Let's have you unmute yourself. I think that might be the problem. Let's see. 1 second, Reese. 1 second.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Yep, I hear you perfect. Awesome. Well, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Woo!
Awesome. Look, I saw you getting settled. You caught your breath. You good to go?
Oh, for sure. I just ran from practice, so.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Well, first, let's just talk about it. Mighty Sound of the South. You're a part of the band, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Reese, tell me more about the band at the U of M and what you play.
I got you. So I am a mellophone, which is like the marching French horn for the cool kids, And we do a lot of pep band and like status stuff. Like we're sort of like the hype team of the Memphis. So it's like, we go to football games, we support the football team. Sometimes we play soccer games. We're really just trying to bring up the morale and like the energy on campus.
I love it. And so y'all have a lot going on here soon. Today, actually, y'all are going to be performing. Tell me a little bit about what's happening later this afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. So tonight at 5:30 at the Memorial Field, we are going to do a preview show of sort of what we've been working on for the past 2 weeks in band camp. And we're just going to show off and have fun. And so there's free parking on the Zach Curling parking lot. The show starts at 5:30, so you might want to get there a little before so you can get some good seats and see us in action.
Okay. And for folks who have never got to experience the Mighty Sound of the South, what are they in for? Tell us.
Oh, they are in for some dance moves. They're in for some loud sounds. Like this year, like we're playing a jazzy halftime show, so they get to groove out a little bit. Like if you ever like think of just something that's like very good feels and like very uplifting, that is the Mighty Sound of the South. Like we bring the energy.
You bring the energy. Okay, I'm looking forward to it. Reese, so you're a sophomore, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm assuming you've been a part of the band for, 2 years now, going on your second year?
Yes, this is my second year.
Okay, so what are you looking forward to most as we get ready for a very busy football season, even with a new stadium coming?
Oh, yeah. I'm excited to see what they do to the stadium, but I'm really looking forward to like being in the stands with everyone again. Like, in the spring semester, we get to do pep band with the basketball team, but it's nothing like being in like the full uniform, grooving out to the stands with like Dr. Plank in front of us. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty pumped for that.
I feel you. I feel you. Okay, so for folks who are going to come out tonight, just one more sneak peek of anything they can expect today, or anything you're especially excited to be performing.
So we're actually playing. I think my favorite tune that we're playing tonight is Zoot Suit Riot. It's an oldie, but it's really good. So if you want to get a little preview, you can look it up. And it's very jazzy, and there's lots of like high notes for us at least, and we get to like like blare out. It's pretty fun.
Reese, I love it, and I love the energy. Thank you so much for running over here and taking the time to chat with us on the digital desk. Anything else you want to add or say just about the U of M and this, everything that's to come?
Yes. So don't fret if you cannot come tonight. You can see us before the football game at 3:30 in Tiger Lane. The first football game is not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So if you can't come tonight, we'll be there.
All right, Reese Roberts with U of M's Mighty Sound of the South. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Okay, guys, let's take that live look one more time from our Midtown High Five cam. 10:06 and a gorgeous 70-degree day. It is so nice out there. If you can get outside, take the time and enjoy it. We'll be right back after this very short break.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. It is back to school season officially here in Memphis and all across the Mid-South. We got to get our kiddos ready to go. School supplies, backpacks, clothes, checkups, immunizations, and shots. And that is something that many people might be skipping over. We've talked about eye exams that people might be skipping over. Well, they may be skipping over immunizations, routine vaccinations, that sort of thing. And my next guest is going to talk about some of the bad things that could happen if you skip out on those routine vaccinations. I'm joined right now by Dr. Atul Grover, Executive Director of AAMC Research and Action Institute. Dr. Grover, thanks for joining us on the digital desk. So where do people make the biggest mistake? Parents, grandparents, where do they make the biggest mistake when it comes to back to school for their kids? Good morning.
I think great to be with you, and I think you've already sort of covered it. We think a lot about the stuff we need, but not necessarily what we need to do for ourselves and our own health and wellness. And part of that, I think, is because for the last couple of years we've been so overwhelmed by kind of COVID fatigue that we've forgotten that there's a lot of other stuff out there that we have a pretty good track record of preventing against when it comes to illness, things like measles, things like influenza. And we've got to be thinking about those things as we get back to school. So the best thing that people can do is make an appointment with their pediatrician or other primary care provider to talk about what you may be missing to keep your child safe as you go into that fall season.
Yeah, and you know, some of the things that I was reading today about measles that, you know, was essentially wiped off the map, but unfortunately because there isn't those routine vaccinations for everybody, measles is it making a comeback?
It is. And measles is something that we thought that we had eradicated in the United States back in 2000. So almost a quarter of a century, we were kind of done with measles. But that requires that people stay up to date on vaccinations. And we know now that the proportion of children going into kindergarten who are actually fully up to date for what they need in terms of vaccinations, including the MMR or measles, mumps, rubella shot, has dropped down to about 93% from 95%. And that may not seem like a lot, but for measles alone, that puts about 250,000 kids at increased risk of getting measles, which can be much more serious in children than something like COVID, and in fact is much more infectious. You can catch it just by being in the same room that somebody who's had measles was in an hour ago.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. My kids are grown now, but certainly when they were little, we would have just kind of like when we go to the pediatrician, we'd have the checkoff list or at least the date of when they got each vaccination. We have thousands of parents and thousands of people watching us each and every morning here on the digital desk. Dr. Grover, if they're watching, give me a checklist of what you think they should be doing right now, getting ready for school.
Well, it always takes a little time to get in for an appointment to your pediatrician's office. So please start making those appointments now as we get closer to Labor Day. I know we're thinking about sunscreen and those last moments with our families of enjoyment in the summertime, but that's coming up quick, that first day of school. And so they'll have a list of which immunizations that your children needs, which are recommended at this age, which ones are required for school. But some of the biggest ones are really making sure that you get that MMR and tetanus shot. And then also going into fall, in the next month or so, we should have the brand new boosters for COVID available. That includes the new variants that we're seeing pop up really on the rise in about 40 or 42 out of all the states right now. And think about getting your influenza shot, your flu shot, which has to be updated yearly as well. So go ask your pediatrician or primary care provider or clinic. They'll tell you which ones you really need.
Anything else before we let you go, Dr. Grover? These are all great tips and suggestions getting ready for the first day of class.
Look, I think the last couple of years we've sort of had COVID crowding out a lot of the things in our brains, but these other diseases are still out there, and many of them are completely unnecessary if we are vaccinated. We've had 167 cases of measles in this country this year so far. That's really unheard of in a place that wiped it out 25 years ago. So please make sure you go and get completely up to date, have that conversation with your pediatrician, get it scheduled now.
Okay, Dr. Atul Grover, appreciate you joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We appreciate your time and your knowledge. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. There's some new data that's been issued by MetLife and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. It finds small businesses are keen to experiments with AI tools, and using AI could give them a competitive edge. This is according to some of the key findings of Q2 here. Let's bring in a couple of people to talk about this new data. I am joined right now by Jordan Crenshaw. He's the Senior VP of U.S. Chamber of Commerce Technology Engagement Center, and Karen Rafferty, Head of Regional Business Sales with MetLife. Good morning to you both. So, Karen, let me start with you here. Tell me what this data tells you.
Absolutely. We have been partnering with the U.S. Chamber on the Small Business Index since 2017. And it's a snapshot into our small business sector. It allows us to understand from small business owners what they're thinking about the economy, their biggest challenges, and how they feel about their businesses overall. Our most recent study showed the most optimism of our small business owners since 2020. And a lot of that excitement is driven by AI. We know in Tennessee that many of our small businesses are in the service industry. And our data shows that 52% of those small businesses will be looking for AI proficiencies in their future job postings.
Jordan, over to you. Tell me what you're seeing from your vantage point when it comes to small businesses and the technology and AI.
There's a huge opportunity for workers in Memphis as small businesses are embracing AI tools. 99% of companies are small businesses. And our latest small business index survey results that we did along with MetLife revealed that 71% of small businesses believe that hiring workers with AI skills will save them time, and another 67% believe will help save them money. Small businesses value AI proficiency, and AI is creating an environment where workers can learn new skills and then become more valuable in the job market. And I think it's interesting to note that 46% of small business owners in the South are actively planning AI training for their employees.
So let me ask you this, and let me stay with you, Jordan, for a minute here. If someone's watching this, and we have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning on the Digital Desk, and someone's watching, and they say, yeah, I'll work with AI. I want to get that next job. Where can they go to, be proficient in AI tools that you're talking about?
Well, AI training is going to be crucial for helping small businesses grow in the future, and 65% of businesses believe that AI will change roles in the future economy. And it's so important that employees take up small business owners on their offer of AI training. I'm even aware of small business owners themselves too who've actually gotten training and use it rather effectively off the internet. But there are also more formal trainings available too. Community colleges and local chambers of commerce are offering upskilling courses as well. So there are ample opportunities for people to learn how to use this technology for their advantage. It's a tool that's really going to help bolster the workforce, particularly as we're dealing with a tight labor market.
So, Karen, I want to ask you, what are you seeing in terms of AI tools that people are gravitating to? And when I say people, I mean small businesses. I mean, we know about ChatGPT. Anything else out there?
Absolutely. I believe that small businesses are looking at ways that they can increase their productivity without having to, fully compete against larger industries overall. And so our small business owners are really concentrated on how they integrate this with their employee base and really creating opportunities through their employees' professional growth and training in AI to deliver efficiencies, but a stronger customer experience.
So let me ask you this, Karen. I mean, in this new data that was issued by MetLife, was there anything specific, any kind of AI tool that the business community mentioned, or they, wanted these employees to learn more about?
We're seeing a large gravitation to increasing their marketing ability through AI, as well as just understanding their overall customer base.
Jordan, over to you. So give me the landscape in the next, 5-10 years. Are we going to see something where almost every small business or business out there is going to have some form or fashion of AI as part of the workforce?
In terms of how small businesses are going to adopt, if you were to say a small business is not going to adopt AI today, that would be like saying a small business doesn't plan to use the internet 20 years ago. It's going to be ubiquitous, and that's why it's so important that employees at small businesses and their owners become efficient so they can have that edge.
Okay, Jordan Crenshaw and Karen Rafferty, we appreciate your time on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Thanks for the deep dive on the topic and keeping us informed on what's happening with small businesses and AI tools. Anything else you guys want to mention before we let you go? I leave it open to both of you.
Well, if you'd like to learn more, you can actually visit us at uschamber.com to dive more into the report.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. Approximately 2 million Americans live with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. It's a condition that causes dry, itchy, scaly patches to form across the skin. I want to bring in a couple of people to talk about the impact of plaque psoriasis on patients' lives and how they can celebrate their inner strength, navigate conversations with their doctor to feel more empowered when it comes to finding treatment that will be right for them. Nikita Chopra, she is a chronic illness advocate, and Dr. James Lebecco, a dermatologist. And Dr. James, let's begin with you. Can you briefly describe what plaque psoriasis is and how it infects people in different ways? Good morning.
Proud to partner with Bristol Myers Squibb and the So Have You Found It campaign to help empower people and educate them on psoriasis, which is a chronic inflammatory condition driven by an overactive immune system, driving that thickening and scaling, redness, and plaques and patches across the skin, classically involving the back of the scalp, the elbows, the knees, although really can be anywhere on the body, classically beginning in the early adult period, although it can occur at any point really through life.
So how do people prepare for a conversation to have with their dermatologist about this condition and to find the proper treatment for them?
Yeah, that's really why we're here. Is patients should be aware that we are here to help them, and patients are often a little bit alone or feeling like they don't know what to ask about or seek when they're talking about their psoriasis. So the So Have You Found It campaign built a website, sohaveyoufoundit.com, that provides scripts and questionnaires and provides information for patients to be able to really be better informed and having the right questions to ask their dermatologist when they come in for those visits.
Okay, and Nikita, over to you now. I understand you are someone living with plaque psoriasis, and now you're an advocate for not only others, but for yourself when it comes to various treatments. Can you maybe give us some advice for all those people out there that have plaque psoriasis and are unsure of the best methods to get the best treatment?
Sure. Yeah. I was diagnosed with plaque psoriasis many years ago. And like a lot of people, I felt very confused. I felt very isolated. I felt very alone. And it was really overwhelming. And it took me quite a while to find my inner strength, find my voice, and really find the ways that I could navigate my health journey with my dermatologist in the best possible way. So I've been so excited to partner with Bristol Myers Squibb with the So Have You Found It campaign because when you go to sohaveyoufoundit.com, you'll see that there are scripts for you where you can go to the doctor and actually use some of those scripts to have you have that sense of empowerment. There's videos with people like Mindy Kaling and Ted Danson, as well as real patients that are helping to understand what it's like to really live with plaque psoriasis so that people don't have to feel so alone like many have throughout their journey.
Nikita, where do people get it wrong when they think of plaque psoriasis and just what it is and the treatments?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of times, people don't always know that there are so many things that come up for someone with plaque psoriasis that are in part of your social experiences. I know when I was first diagnosed, I felt really embarrassed. I felt really self-conscious. So it is about finding that right provider, that dermatologist or specialist that's going to work with you, that really understands you, that really believes in the things that you're telling them. And you can go to sohaveyoufoundit.com, as I said, and see how you can really speak to that person to make sure you're working with the right person for you. And I think that sometimes people get it wrong by just not understanding that emotional aspect to navigating a disease like plaque psoriasis.
Dr. James Lebecka, over to you. What kind of treatments are available for people that have been diagnosed?
Well, psoriasis has really gone through an evolution of therapy in the last 20 years or so, from light therapies and creams that people apply to areas to, injectable medications like biologics and once daily oral pills like Sotyktu or deucravacitinib, which can be used to treat their chronic plaque psoriasis. And it's worth that discussion to discuss with the patient and the doctor, the benefits of that therapy, as long as any risks to go along with it, like coughs or cold, upper respiratory tract infection, or acne-like eruptions that can occur on the skin with that.
Okay, before we let you guys go, Nikita, can you give us a place online where people can learn a lot more about not only plaque psoriasis and various treatments available, but also about your campaign? So, have you found it?
Absolutely. They can visit sohaveyoufoundit.com to learn more.
Okay, thank you both for joining us on the Digital Desk. We appreciate it. We have thousands of people that watch, and so I know that the information that you guys told us is very helpful to so many. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. 80% of the world's oceans remain unexplored, and OceanX is a non-profit organization trying to uncover the secrets of leveraging the Ocean Explorer, which is billing itself as the most technically advanced exploration, scientific, and media production vessel ever built. And I want to learn more about this vessel because it sounds fascinating. There's a 6-part series that's been done on or with this vessel. I'm joined right now by Maddie Rodriguez from OceanX and Eric Stackpole, ocean technology innovator. They're here to talk about the vessel and reveal some of the latest adventures and scientific breakthroughs. Good morning to you both. Let's begin and talk a little bit first off about the Ocean Explorer, what it is, and what you guys have been doing over the last several months. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, no, it's so great to be here. Thanks for having us. So I'm currently on board Ocean Explorer, actually, at the moment, coming to you live from Indonesia across the world. And Ocean Explorer truly is the most advanced research and media platform ever built. We combine cutting edge technology to explore the most remote parts of this planet, the deep ocean, with captivating and compelling media, Hollywood production caliber media capabilities to not only do the science, conduct the research, make the discoveries, explore the oceans, but bring all of that discovery and exploration and research back to the world through compelling and captivating media.
That sounds amazing. I love it. I'm fascinated by it. And I'll just leave these questions up to you guys, and then you guys kind of figure out who should answer it best. But I understand you guys have been doing a lot of explorations and a lot of discoveries. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the more recent expeditions, what you've discovered that would be fascinating to our audience here?
Yeah, absolutely. So OceanX and Ocean Explorer travel all over the world, working with partners in the countries that we visit to explore and make discoveries. And we work on scientific research in the deep sea and also in coastal ecosystems and try to understand the connection between the two. Probably one of the most exciting projects we did in recent memory on board was actually the 6-part docuseries Ocean Explorer. So those were real expeditions that we actually undertook on board the ship. And Eric, maybe you can say a little bit about those and the excitement around those.
Yeah, sure. I was an honor to be a part of this. I'm one of the 4 explorers on this show, and I'm not an actor. I'm just a nerd. Honestly, I come from Silicon Valley, and I built my career on designing tech gadgets that are used to explore the deep. So when they gave me the call, hey, James Cameron's producing this show about exploration. They want to feature not just the natural history, but also show the people who are part of how exploration is done. I couldn't say no. We took the ship from the Caribbean up through the Azores, all the way into the Arctic. We got within 500 miles of the North Pole. And we filmed all these different things along the way. Each episode is going to be showing a new mission, a new thing that we were doing with scientists to try to uncover the unknown. And I'm so excited for it to be finally airing after years of production. It's going to be coming out this Sunday and then Monday on Disney Plus.
Okay, so Disney Plus. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
So I mentioned on the top that 80% of the ocean remains unknown. And I know that there's always a curiosity out there as explorers to just kind of figure out what is in that 80%, what we can gain from all of that. How does Ocean Explorer contribute to that mission?
Absolutely. I mean, that is the core of our mission, to discover the world's oceans and bring that discovery back to the world. So 80% of the world's ocean remains unexplored. And actually, we know less about our own planet than we do about the surface of the moon, for example. So this place that we live and this ocean that really sustains all life on Earth, we know very little about. And so on Ocean Explorer, we have technology that can take us to the deepest parts of the ocean, remotely operated robots that can go to almost 20,000 feet, dive and take video and collect samples to characterize environments, but also combining that with human-occupied submersibles to bring humans down into the environments to see the animals in their natural habitat, to avoid damaging animals by bringing them up to the surface, using other types of sampling methods to really get in there and see what's going on. it's so important because the ocean is what sustains us, and it is our very livelihood. 50% of the air that we breathe, we can thank the ocean for. And to know such little information about something so critical is something that we're trying to change. And through the media element of this, it's the only way. I mean, scientific discovery is great, and I'm a scientist, and we write papers, but they only go so far if you don't actually tell the public, tell the general public, audiences across the globe what's actually going on. So yeah, and hopefully they'll care and be inspired as well.
You guys have been working on this for months and months and months, and finally it's going to air here in a 6-part series. I don't want you to give away the farm, but can you tell me maybe some of the biggest surprises to each one of you? Maybe the biggest surprise that you had during this whole process?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, for me, I think that it really had to do with seeing things in new ways. You know, we in the Caribbean, we're looking at humpback whales, and I liken it kind of like, you know, you hear that there's this creature called a dog, and it has 4 legs, and it does this thing called barking. But then when you meet a dog, you realize there's so much more there, right? And these animals that are in the ocean are the same way. We hear about them and read about them, and that's kind of what most of us know. But when you go out and actually spend time interacting with them, you realize there's so much more than what meets the eye, at least at the beginning. And I hope that by watching this series, people are going to be able to connect with this majority of our planet that we've never seen before. It definitely changed the way I think of what it means to be a living creature on planet Earth.
Maddie, can you weigh in on what the most surprising element was to you?
Absolutely. For me, I've been studying the ocean for most of my adult life now, and I still see new things every time I dive in the deep. Every time I look in the deep, I see things that no one else has ever seen before. So every day is a surprise and every day is an adventure. But my favorite was probably when we were up in the Arctic and we were studying polar bears and bowhead whales, and we were trying to understand its complex ecosystem that was rapidly changing in front of our very eyes. And so then not only was it this great sense of wonder and curiosity and trying to see what was around the corner in the depths, but also this sense of urgency because we were seeing everything change right in front of us and trying to understand it before it changed past the point that we couldn't understand it any longer. So for me, that was definitely a highlight.
It's also a highlight just talking to you guys across the world here, Indonesia, among other places. Tell me, you know, because it's fascinating to me to just hear you guys talk about it. I can tell you're excited. You guys have been working on this for months and months and months. You've explored some areas where really no humans have gone, if ever, but certainly on a regular basis. How do you hope this voyage and the work that you're doing right now ignites other explorers in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember being a kid and watching shows like this, and it was inspiring. It was like, oh my God, the whole world is out there. It's just waiting to be seen. As someone who's really interested in technology, I think we're living in an incredible time where, you know, cameras and remote internet connection and, you know, all these different ways of processing the information that we're seeing are uncovering a new realm of exploration capability. For the first time, we can let the rest of the world see the rest of the world. It's almost like a science fiction movie where, you know, the dominant species on a planet has spent most of its life in a small corner of where life can exist. So this is an extremely exciting time to be an explorer, and I hope people will be inspired to go take their own look for it, because there is an infinite abundance of things to discover.
Absolutely, and I agree with Erica. When I was a little kid, I grew up. I grew up in Arizona. I grew up in a landlocked state, and I still remember the first time I went to the ocean and saw the ocean. The first time I touched it. The first time I smelled it. I remember the first time I met a marine biologist, and as a little kid learned that that was something I could be and do. And I've been really lucky to be on the path and be where I am today, because now it's time for me, I feel, to give back, and through this show and through, you know, that little kid out there that doesn't see the ocean in their backyard every day, but is curious and wants to explore. inspiring that little kid, and hopefully they can see themselves in this production, in this series, and in the work that we do. That would mean everything.
Well, Maddie and Eric, congratulations on your success here. I mean, you're partnering with National Geographic, James Cameron, the BBC. You've created this 6-part series here, Ocean Explorers. Fantastic news. Thanks for joining us on the Digital Desk and letting our audience know exactly where they can find this 6-part series and what you guys are doing. It's amazing work, and hats off to you both. Anything else you'd like to say before we let you go?
No, I think if anybody's interested in learning more, they can go to oceanx.org and they can find the world of exploration at their fingertips.
Eric, anything?
I would just say that, tune into our show because we're going to be showing some things that will blow people's minds. So remember, National Geographic television on Sunday the 18th, and then Disney Plus and Hulu streaming on Monday the 19th. Don't miss it.
Okay, Eric and Maddie, thank you once again. We appreciate your time. All right, good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. It's back to school season. There's plenty of districts that have already gone back to school, and we have Memphis Shelby County Schools going back today. We also have other school districts going back later in the week. And so there is so much to prepare for when it comes to your family and the various schedules that people are seeing, and how the schedules are essentially going to be turned upside down now that the school year is here. And it's so important to prepare kids, not only for the classroom, but to prepare them emotionally and mentally. Let's bring in our next guest to talk about this very issue. I'm joined now by Dr. Kevin U. Stevens, Sr., Chief Medical Officer of United Healthcare of the Mid-South, joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Dr. Stevens, thank you for joining us. Where do we begin when we talk about preparing our kids emotionally and mentally? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, by the way, for having this segment. We really appreciate that, getting the news out to our parents and kids, because it can be quite stressful. The first thing I would suggest is sleep. It's so important. Kids in the summertime, and they're used to staying up and doing all kinds of things. You have to get back in the routine of going to sleep, getting their rest, getting up early in the morning, getting their breakfast. That's probably the most important meal that they have to get is the breakfast. So having good 8 hours of sleep is good so that they can concentrate. In fact, at nighttime, that's when your long-term memory, your short-term memory is transposed to your long-term memory. That's when your body rejuvenates itself. And so sleep is a very important aspect of getting back into the routine of things.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, sleep is so beneficial for kids, for adults, and it's so important to get such a lot of sleep, especially when you're developing these routines, which, you know, hey, let's be honest, our adults love these routines too. I mean, it's so beneficial, especially when it comes to sleep and reestablishing these routines. Let's talk a little bit about something else. So we have a good routine set. We're getting them breakfast, okay? We're getting them enough sleep. Now what?
Well, I mean, so it's consistency that you can do. For instance, you can say to your kids, all right, you get home at 3:30, 4 o'clock, whatever time it may be. All right, you have an hour to kind of just wind down a little bit from your day's work. And then study hour is from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And then you make sure that where your child studies, that they have light, it's a comfortable chair, and they have the resources they need there. And then you have dinner, and then so setting up a structure for the child to operate so they can anticipate what they need to do, they can plan for it. And of course, you have exceptions and those types of things, but having a routine is so important, as well as making sure they get their annual child exam for their provider too, because that's so important that there can be things that kids can have, whether it's their vaccinations, whether it's just looking at their diet, their weight, their blood pressures, and those types of things. That's important for the child to make sure that all those screening and preventive measures are taken.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Getting that visit to the pediatrician, either right before school or maybe that first week of school, so key. Making sure everything's up to date, that sort of thing, and just kind of see where they are. But what about, what about the mental state? How do we discuss that in an effective manner, just to make sure our kids emotionally are okay?
That's a very good point, and that's a very good question. So our sons they told me, they said, Dad, that is a reason you have two ears and one mouth. That you should listen twice as much as you talk. Many times we don't, but so you have to listen to your child. You have to watch your child. If you see their eating habit has changed, you can see their sleeping habit has changed. You can see their affect, their mood has changed. So the first thing is to be inquisitive and ask them, how are you doing? How are things going? And listen to what they are saying. And when you listen, they'll tell you many times they may not use words to communicate to you that something is going on. So pay attention, watch, listen, look, and learn, and then be supportive. I find even on this weekend, I was talking to some kids, and I said, "Well, yeah, you know what? This is a problem. But we all go through something like this, and I went through this type of a setback, and this is how I kind of worked through it. And what do you think? And how do you feel?" And they will say, I've been thinking about this, and nowadays with the internet, computer, chat GDP, all those certain kids have access and availability to much information. And many times we as parents may not know it. So you may want to be mindful of what your child is looking at, the sites they're going on, and those types of things, because then that could be a clue also to some of the things, including cyber bullies. There are just so many things out there that we have to prepare our children to do. But the main thing is to be there supportive and to say, I love you, we're here for you. If you ever want to talk and inquire to some periodicity of what's going on, how you feeling, how are your grades, any problems, anything I can do, do you need some help, and those types of things.
Yeah, it sounds like just being an active and present mom or active and present dad is so key when it comes to making sure the mental state of our children are good. Another one I would throw out there and love for you to weigh in on is keeping them away from phones as long as possible. Keeping them off of social media as long as possible and keeping them away from a smartphone as long as possible. What do you think?
Absolutely. And then what you can replace that with, get outside with your kids and have some fun. I mean, you can play basketball, football, you can run track, you can play games. There's a plethora of things that you can do in terms of having some, even board games in the house. I mean, I'm old fashioned, so Monopoly and Scrabble, word games, those are really good because when you have those types of games, that creates the venue for you to have conversation. it's not necessarily the game as much as it is just companionship and to talk, and then the children can open up and they can tell you, yeah, you know, Dad, I was thinking about ABC or whatever it may be. So enjoy yourself, enjoy your kids. They grew up on you before you know it. So enjoy while you can.
No doubt. You're speaking the truth. There's no question. My kids are both in college, and so it feels like, just yesterday they were, 8, 9 years old, that sort of thing. This has been a great discussion, Dr. Stevens. Anything else you want to hit on before we let you go? We've hit on a number of different things with regards to emotion and mental state. Anything else?
But the main thing is to communicate with the kids, verbal and non-verbal, and form good relationship so that they will have something to emulate, and listen twice as much as you talk, and pay attention to what they are telling you, and create venues to where they can communicate freely without like games and those kind of things, and have fun, enjoy the kids. I mean, time flies before you know it. As you said, they'll be away in college or wherever, and married, and who knows what else they'll be doing. So enjoy. This is a fun time.
Wow, Dr. Kevin Stevens, thank you so much. We appreciate your time on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Great advice for anybody out there that have kids in the school system. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And maybe we can come back a little later on and have a checkup,
Yes.
Check
Would
in.
love that. Anytime, Dr. Stevens. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. It is back to school season officially here in Memphis and all across the Mid-South. We got to get our kiddos ready to go. School supplies, backpacks, clothes, checkups, immunizations, and shots. And that is something that many people might be skipping over. We've talked about eye exams that people might be skipping over. Well, they may be skipping over immunizations, routine vaccinations, that sort of thing. And my next guest is going to talk about some of the bad things that could happen if you skip out on those routine vaccinations. I'm joined right now by Dr. Atul Grover, Executive Director of AAMC Research and Action Institute. Dr. Grover, thanks for joining us on the Digital Desk. So where do people make the biggest mistake? Parents, grandparents, where do they make the biggest mistake when it comes to back to school for their kids? Good morning.
I think great to be with you, and I think you've already sort of covered it. We think a lot about the stuff we need, but not necessarily what we need to do for ourselves and our own health and wellness. And part of that, I think, is because for the last couple of years we've been so overwhelmed by kind of COVID fatigue that we've forgotten that there's a lot of other stuff out there that we have a pretty good track record of preventing against when it comes to illness, things like measles, things like influenza. And we've got to be thinking about those things as we get back to school. So the best thing that people can do is make an appointment with their pediatrician or other primary care provider to talk about what you may be missing to keep your child safe as you go into that fall season.
Yeah, and some of the things that I was reading today about measles that was essentially wiped off the map, but unfortunately because there isn't those routine vaccinations for everybody, measles is it making a comeback?
It is. And measles is something that we thought that we had eradicated in the United States back in 2000. So almost a quarter of a century, we were kind of done with measles, but that requires that people stay up to date on vaccinations. And we know now that the proportion of children going into kindergarten who are actually fully up to date for what they need in terms of vaccinations, including the MMR or measles, mumps, rubella shot, has dropped down to about 93% from 95%. And that may not seem like a lot, but for measles alone, that puts about 250,000 kids at increased risk of getting measles, which can be much more serious in children than something like COVID, and in fact is much more infectious. You can catch it just by being in the same room that somebody who's had measles was in an hour ago.
Yeah, yeah, I remember hearing that. You know, my kids are grown now, but certainly when they were little, we would have just kind of like when we go to the pediatrician, we'd have the checkoff list or at least the date of when they got each vaccination. We have thousands of parents and thousands of people watching us each and every morning here on the Digital Desk. Dr. Grover, if they're watching, give me a checklist of what you think they should be doing right now, getting ready for school.
Well, it always takes a little time to get in for an appointment to your pediatrician's office. So please start making those appointments now as we get closer to Labor Day. I know we're thinking about sunscreen and those last moments with our families of enjoyment in the summertime, but that's coming up quick, that first day of school. And so they'll have a list of which immunizations that your children needs, which are recommended at this age, which ones are required for school. But some of the biggest ones are really making sure that you get that MMR and tetanus shot. And then also going into fall, in the next month or so, we should have the brand new boosters for COVID available. That includes the new variants that we're seeing pop up really on the rise in about 40 or 42 out of all the states right now. And think about getting your influenza shot, your flu shot, which has to be updated yearly as well. So go ask your pediatrician or primary care provider or clinic. They'll tell you which ones you really need.
Anything else before we let you go, Dr. Grover? These are all great tips and suggestions getting ready for the first day of class.
Look, I think the last couple of years we've sort of had COVID crowding out a lot of the things in our brains. But these other diseases are still out there, and many of them are completely unnecessary if we are vaccinated. We've had 167 cases of measles in this country this year so far. That's really unheard of in a place that wiped it out 25 years ago. So please make sure you go and get completely up to date, have that conversation with your pediatrician, get it scheduled now.
Okay, Dr. Atul Grover, appreciate you joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We appreciate your time and your knowledge.
All right, guys, it is just about that time, 10:56. We are getting ready for Action News 5 at midday. Jerry Askin will have all of the news going on so far, plus a look at your forecast. So stick with us throughout the day for more news and weather.